Well, hello everybody and welcome aboard. It's Rob from PMDG back with another episode of the PMDG DC-6 for Microsoft Flight Simulator tutorial series. We're going to get dangerously close to starting engines this time. We're going to go through the before start process with the automated flight engineer. He's up there waiting for us, so don't just stand there. Let's get started. Alright, welcome. Now the fun stuff really starts to begin. Don't be afraid. Come on in. I'm not even going to close the door behind you. We're not going anywhere. Let's start out with a quick flight deck review just to make sure that we're all up to speed on what's where and how. Here's your mixture levers, your carburetor heat. This is your control lock here, your gyro pilot, throttles. Your fuel controllers are up there. These are your propeller controllers right here. Moving up to the main panel, pilot's flight instruments, all your engine instrumentation. Your fire warning and control system is right there. Co-pilot's flight instruments. Now we'll take a look at the overhead panel. Moving up. Starting over here, we've got your fire warning system test buttons. Here we have all the anti-ice controls. This is all your fluid quantities, oils, fuel, things like that. Pressurization and air conditioning, electrical panel. Up here you got all your engine controls for starting and stopping the engines, some electrical controls, fuel pumps, light switches, dimmers. Those are scattered everywhere as we've talked about. Alright, now that we've done a little bit of refreshing the memory of where things are, let's go ahead, climb into the pilot seat here and get the process started. So, we're going to pull up the tablet. Now, pay close attention to this piece right here, because this is going to be the format that we use for all the tutorials going forward unless I state otherwise. As you can see, the default loadout for the airplane is this, and the gross weight is just shy of 78,000 pounds. Now, we're going to do the tutorials weighing a little bit more than that. So let's go ahead and increase the passenger load to 34 and the cargo load to 2,400 pounds. It'll take us up to 86,412 pounds. That's a good gross weight. It's sort of a reasonable operational weight for a relatively lightly loaded DC-6, but that's what we're going to use from here on out. So that's the configuration we're going to go to when you hear me talking about that in other tutorials. I'm going to refer to that as our standard configuration, so just keep that in mind. All right, now for the next couple of minutes here, I'm just going to go through each view that we have pre-configured, so 1 through 9 and then back to 0, while I give you a quick briefing on some things. All right. This airplane was certified back in the mid-1940s, and it really saw the heyday of its service kind of in the late 40s through the late 50s. Back in those days, before the captain came out to the airplane, there was a whole team of people who would get the airplane ready for flight. They would go through all the maintenance logs, tidy up the maintenance items, top up the fluids, make sure the airplane was properly fueled. They would run the airplane, taxi it out to the run-up block, power it up, run through all of the system checks, bring it back to the stand and park the airplane where it would then be assumed under responsibility of the captain, who would sign the log, take possession of the airplane. He would then alight the stairs like the deity that he should be and assume responsibility for flying the airplane. That meant that a lot of the system checks that really go into the detail of the things that we've modeled in this PMDG Douglas DC-6 don't necessarily fall under the purview of flying the airplane. They're system checks. And while we have built a simulation that is deep and rich enough that you can go through and do all of those, and we will in the advanced tutorial series, you don't have to do them in order to be able to fly and enjoy this airplane. We created the automated flight engineer and under the presumption that he does all that for you before you come out to the airport to fly the airplane. So instead, when we want to get into flying the airplane, we can bring up the flight engineer page here and choose from the list of items on this list of automated flight engineer tasks what we want done. In this case, we're getting ready to start the airplane. we want to have the automated flight engineer run the before start checklist. This assumes everything else has been done. All we're doing right now is just checking that the airplane is ready to start. That's where we are. So let's hit the button.
Cockpit pre-flight.
What you're hearing now is the automated flight engineer doing everything from powering the ship up to setting all the switch positions to ensure the bird's ready to start. You'll hear a challenge response checklist when he's finished.
Completed. Voice recorder. Tested. Oil coolers and cow flaps. Auto and position. Fuel and fluids. Checked. Pressurization. Set. Manifold and duct pressure. Checked. Radios. Checked. Doors and hatches.
Yeah. I know I said we weren't going to close the door, but let this be your first lesson. Never trust the check airman.
Closed. Door warning lights. Out. Gear pins. Removed. 3 on board. Seat belts and pedals. Adjusted. Throttles. Set to idle. Propellers. Forward and 3. Before start checks complete. Start engines.
All right, with that call, we are now officially ready to start engines. Everything's pre-configured. The only thing we got to do is use the start switches right here. We'll go into that in the next episode. But the important piece I want you to take away here, there's 22 pages of pre-flight checklist in the manual. You don't have to do all of those. Your automatic flight engineer will do them for you. And that's a great thing. It really gives you the opportunity to decide just how in-depth you want your flight experience to be with the PMDG DC-6. So, up next, we're going to get them started. Maybe. Till next time, be well, look after one another. Thanks for flying PMDG.